Welcome to Code with Jason Meetup. Today we're doing a mentorship session with my friend Abhay. Abhay, welcome.
Hello everyone. Hi Jason, thanks for doing this. Hi
Yeah,
everyone.
thanks for being here. Yeah, and welcome, of course, James and Rick. Good to see you guys again. Abhay, what do you want to talk about today?
Awesome. So right now, currently, I have been on a full-time software engineering position hunt for almost like 6, 7 months now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So the last time I worked on software engineering project was uh, for my current part-time position with a consulting firm. It was just one thing that I did. I wrote the REST API for a e-commerce client,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and also built a React front end.
Okay.
Uh, and also did the database schema. However, I don't think that is the best schema anyone can that isn't the best schema to implement.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I did that as well. But apart from that, lately, since my job was basically development side, so there's not much for me to do as a part-time developer with that job.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really trying to expand my experience here and try to build something so that a uh, it is able to demonstrate my programming experience. Two, it has to bring actual value so that it's actually getting users. Three, help while building this. Maybe I'll be able to document this on LinkedIn or write a blog so that people can just go read it there, so that it's just a proof of work kind of thing that I can leverage to increase my network or something.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so these are some things that I'm looking for while I'm considering building projects. I have a couple of things in my mind, but yeah, so basically that's that.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, so basically the idea is you're looking for a job and you want to maximize your chances of getting something good as soon as possible.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right. So I have like 3 to 4 options that I just jotted them down because that's what I'm doing right now. First thing that I'm doing is, since we did the expression parser assignment, I actually went on and was able to create it to a point where I can just so my class, right, I'm unable to share my screen because I don't have access to the Wi-Fi here.
Hmm.
So I'll just give a brief summary of what it does by just
Mm-hmm.
looking at it.
Okay.
So yeah, so like the parser is basically able to return a list of lists. Each list in the lists is basically a class of elements in the expression. For example, it looks something like this. Let me tell you.
Mm-hmm.
So when we give the parser the expression, the first list in the output of lists represents all the operators in it. The
Mm-hmm.
second list represents all the parentheses in it, and the third list represents all the operands in it.
Okay.
So right now, I was able to get it to do all of that. Also, I was after this assignment, actually I started doing a little bit of lead code again, since I got a little bit of confidence that, hey,
Mm.
maybe I could just, you know as you say, program in feedbacks. So
Mm-hmm.
program in feedback loops, right? So I started doing that, and I did some arrays and had hash sets and hash map problems, and I was able to figure out that, hey, maybe we could use sets here, because an expression basically is basically like you can just classify the elements in the expression as sets, right? uh, all the operands are one set, all the operators are another set, all the parentheses are another set. So you can look up these things in constant time. So I re-implemented the whole thing using sets. So that's what I did. So that had me going with the lead code, basically.
Hmm.
So that had me going with the lead code. The other thing I'm doing is learning Docker and AWS and DevOps side of things. Right now, I am doing a tutorial basically, to you know just create a Docker image, host it on Amazon ECR. You know, get the repository from ECR to ECS and spin up like ECS tasks using AWS Fargate serverless to startup tasks. I mean, it's all really basic stuff, but yeah, that's the other thing that I've been doing. uh, yeah, so these are the couple of things I've been doing. the there are two more things that I want to do, but uh I'm unable to be sure of what route I need to take. One is a project, as I said,
Hmm.
to showcase all these things, my programming experience, actual users, and network. The other is open source, basically. However, I have no open source experience. I have not contributed to open source anytime, and I think, like, from the research that I've done, it takes a significant learning curve before you make actual, like, significant contributions to open source. So yeah, these are like the four major things that I have thought about. So I'm just trying to figure out what is the best path so that I can achieve my goals of, networking, building my experience, and creating value.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, maybe let's talk about some big picture job hunt stuff.
Yeah.
Looking for a job is a lot like dating.
Hmm.
So Abhay, picture yourself as a woman.
Right.
Um, and you're about to go to the club.
Right.
What would you do before you go to the club?
Like, get ready.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Just like try to
You put on some makeup, like a
yeah.
nice dress and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Right. Yeah.
And why?
Dress up well. Yep. Um. So that uh, I maybe set a standard for the type of people I want to see. Uh. Also, just so that I don't have to explicitly go to other people to uh to ask them out or something, and people who are interested can draw themselves to me
Hmm.
if they like
Yeah, you
me.
want to make yourself attractive.
Right.
Yeah. And so I think as a job hunter, you want to make yourself attractive also.
Right.
Um, and so like, I don't know, if I just go online and search for whoops, I accidentally just closed my browser. If I search for Abhay, how do I pronounce your last name? Joshi?
It's Joshi.
Okay, Joshi.
Yeah.
Um, okay, apparently there's a lot of people named Abhay Joshi. Um, let's see. Well, that right there is maybe kind of an issue. Um, like it seems like you want to become, ideally, you can become the most famous Abhay Joshi on the internet. There's other Jason Sweats, but I'm the most famous Jason Sweat on the internet. Last time I checked,
Right.
I'm gonna Google Jason Sweat. Yeah, I take up the first several results at least. The first entire page of Google results for Jason Sweat. So for any other Jason Sweats out there watching this, sorry for your luck. Um, so you can potentially do that. I don't even know what to search to bring you up because I don't know what you're known for. People know me for Ruby on Rails testing.
Okay.
But let's see, what could I maybe search for, like Abe Joshi, Java, LinkedIn?
I mean, you can search me on LinkedIn actually. Yeah.
Okay. Wow, there's multiple Abe Joshis who are developers. Let me see. Okay, I think I found you. Yeah, I found you.
Awesome.
Okay, so you're the number two Abe Joshi when I search for that. The
Right.
other Abe Joshi is slightly better than you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay. And then let's see. I'm just looking at your LinkedIn profile a second.
Right.
Um, yeah, but like basically having like a good footprint online.
Right.
Yeah. And maybe do you have like a personal website?
I do have a personal website, but it was created like 4 or 5 years ago, and I've never really updated it.
Okay.
So yeah, it's uh yeah, it's not even like a custom URL. It's just on GitHub pages.
Yeah.
So I'll have to just find that because I think it is in my resume as well. Just let me.
Yeah, yeah. So that could be something to address too, is to spruce up your personal website so that if people go to it, um, it's distinguished in some way. Like, you know, when hiring managers look at the applications they get, they look at like a stack
Right.
of resumes. In my experience myself, and my experience with talking to other people is like you look at all these resumes and it's like, okay, all these people seem maybe fine, I guess. There's maybe a few obvious duds, but like everybody else is like, okay, they all seem kind of the same. Like there's nothing to distinguish somebody from anybody else.
Right.
And sometimes I will like go to the person's personal website if they have one and just try to get a feel for the person. Even just like, you know, the simple fact of like having a picture and like an about page with some like personal details and stuff like that. That for me personally, that goes a long way. Um, and then like this is a longer term thing, but like you can do the stuff that I've done to try to
Mhm.
like build a reputation online and stuff like that. Like there's a menu of options you can choose from. There's podcasting, blogging, writing books, speaking at conferences, guesting on podcasts, hosting your own conference, all kinds of stuff like that, doing YouTube videos, hosting an online meetup, all those kinds of things. And obviously, like most people don't do any of those things. And so even if you do just one of those things, it tends to make you stick out from other people.
Yep, I
Right.
can attest that.
What's that?
I can attest that. What was the original question, by the way? Just so I can, because I've been waiting to figure out
Oh
what the
yeah,
track is on this.
we're just
I
talking about
came in late.
job searching.
Okay, I'm literally hiring right now.
Oh,
There
that.
you go.
So like I can tell you exactly some of the things that like I don't word soup, just put like actual things that are like you can talk about for more than 60 seconds. The
Mhm.
worst thing you could do is I grab something that I think is a desire. It's kind of like lawyers never ask a question you don't know the answer to. So I see this all this shit zone of like skills. And what I like to do is I like to grab some back end thing, like backwater skill that I think is crap, as or like a crap test. And I'm like, tell me about this. And then I start to ask them questions and keep chiseling. And all you find out is they were like, read the docs, wrote like hello world, and slapped it on the resume. So their credibility instantly went to zero,
Right.
like instantly. Then you throw up your GitHub. You got no code on there. I click on 23, 22, 24. I'm seeing like 8 days, 8 days. I'm like, why would you put your GitHub up on there? Like
Yeah.
just, I would say that it's actually like sports. Sorry, I'm totally going on a rant on this one, Jason, but like,
No, go ahead.
this is like sports. I've played sports all the way to the national level. Okay. And I'm playing on my local rugby team. And they're like, let's do this trick play. And I'm always just like, yeah, but watch World Cup rugby and the teams that win just do the simple things really well.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I think with resumes, people are trying to like get as many words in there and say that they can do all these things. But actually, in my opinion, and I was talking to a recruiter about this just today, we both agree less is more. Because it's like, if you have the balls to say, oh, all I know is TypeScript, TRPC, and Next.js, or that's what I did in my last job, that's it. That's like you're telling me this is like your jam. Like you did this for 2 years. You say 10 things, I don't even know where to start.
Yeah, like the second I sense that somebody's trying to start bullshitting me, they like lose so much, their chances go way down.
Or exaggerating, right? Like any of those things. It's like, dude, you got 6 years of programming experience. Just put like three items under that job, 3 items under that job, or one project. Like it should stand because people are looking for people with expertise, right? And they want to know, they don't want to go like digging through a whole bunch of word soup to find out that like, you're a Haskell expert and everything else is like baloney. Like completely useless, right? It's like put them on there and it's like, hey man, I wish you had these 4 things, but you crushed at the 3 things that you listed. The 4th thing is something I can overlook.
Right.
Yeah. Do you get, Roger, have you seen a lot of people putting stuff related to AI on their resumes?
I don't even know if I have, because if I did, I would just like, it would be like internet advertising. I don't even remember the last time I've noticed an ad on the internet, just because my brain just filters it out as noise.
Right.
But when I'm looking like underneath the job and they're telling me stuff, and also write it in a way that's like concise. If you start looking, I challenge you to print out 50 documents and then just flip through them and notice how they blend together. I was looking at this guy's resume. He made it this wide. The font style he used was like listening to a professor that talks like this. So I was reading it like that. So I just glanced at it and turfed it. It's got to be easy to be like hone in on what's happening,
Another thing, speaking of like doing the fundamentals right, this is something I've been preaching a lot lately. I talked about it on a recent video. It costs very little to get a decent mic and camera and lighting. And like nobody, including myself for many years, like nobody puts much effort into this. But like I think it's like it's one of those like perception is reality type things. Like it just, I don't know, it's a psychological thing. Like when somebody gets on a call and they actually have a really good microphone and camera, I'm like, oh, this guy's somebody. I better listen to what this guy has to say.
Right.
Yeah, and nobody makes any effort in that area, but it's so easy.
You know what's funny about that, Jason? Is there's a baseline expectation of, because everybody says this on their resumes, I'm detail oriented. And it's like, okay, your hair looks like you just flop, like you fell out of the shower, and I'm not talking about like, oh, you need a dress shirt and you need to have a tie. I mean, just look like you didn't just roll out of bed, right? Like, and that's like, are you fiddling with your phone on the call? Can I understand you? Like, I have no idea. Like, I'm going to hire somebody that's a remote worker. And my first conversation with them was like, you're like, you're trying not to be a dick, but like, there's 10 other people behind you. It's just, you're gone. You're just gone.
Yeah. And I want to say, Abhay, that this is not to say that I think all these things should be your focus instead of working on projects, but like some of this stuff is like you can you can spend like a day or less sprucing up your personal website and then move on to building a project over the course of months, but might as well have a nice website up there in the meantime.
Right, right. Sounds good. That's something that I would look into actually. I'll probably do that this weekend.
Yeah.
This weekend.
Yeah, do you feel like you have any inclination, Abhay, to do any of those things that I mentioned, like podcasting, making videos, writing, anything like that?
I'm interested. I'm actually thinking of basically documenting my journey of learning AWS.
Hmm.
Right now I'm doing that via LinkedIn posts, but once I'm done with the course, I actually want to just go ahead and deploy my own little app and write like couple of things like whatever I did, whatever the challenges were and all that. Just write 2 or 3 blog articles about it. So that's I think that's how I want to start. But I don't know, like maybe I would also make videos about it, but I'm really not sure about it right now. But yeah,
I
but
think
Yeah.
just so you know, I think blog articles are great, but that's like SEO. It's the long tail. Like, so unless you're gonna keep hammering at it,
mhm.
like Jason's got like, I don't know how many articles you got now, Jason.
A
It's
lot.
a
Many
lot, right?
dozens.
So when you're thinking about where to put your time, right? I would say do a project, because the second you sit down in front of me virtually or otherwise, the first thing, like, oh, the first question everybody asks is, they're like, hey, this is me, or this is the company, or whatever, right? And then the next question is, tell me about you, right? And you're like, you say, I like to ski and I'm doing this project. Tell me about this project. Oh, it's a software project. What problems have you faced? And you know what I mean? Like, now the whole interview is about your project.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the
And I'll push back a little bit on what you said, Roger. Like obviously one use case for blogging is to get SEO traffic and stuff like that. But it can just be like if nobody in the world sees it except when a prospective employer checks on your personal website just to be like, what is this? Who is this person? And they see that you've written like at least 3 blog posts in the last 6 months. It's like, okay, this person, like, they're not just an NPC, they're like a person who does things.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
So yeah,
That's
Um,
right.
I I
Yeah.
would start as well. Just build things and write about them. Just build things, write about the problems that I've faced. Document the journey. Uh,
yeah.
I think
Yeah. And something I'll say, a lot of times people run out of ideas of what to write about, myself included. And my advice is always, if you can't write something good, write something bad. Because that's usually better than writing nothing. And
mm,
if you write something bad, oftentimes it'll like at least get the juices flowing, and then it can transition into something good.
right.
Yeah.
You know, I actually have an interesting add to that that's
Uh-huh.
only come to me recently, and that is if you can't think of something to write, you can always write about what's happening in your community, right? Like, oh,
Hmm.
Rails 8 launched, and this is something I think is interesting. Now, barring all of that, if you can't write something like at all, that should be a red flag for you.
Hmm.
Like, what are you doing? What are you doing wrong? And I'm not saying that as like, oh, workaholic, slave all weekend, read like dozens of books, don't have a life. I just mean, like, if you're writing code and you're involved, things should just, generally speaking, percolate up. You know what I mean? Like, there shouldn't be so much dead space that you literally have nothing to write about.
Hmm. I'll add something else, which is like, I think a lot of people think of creativity as just coming like from the ether or whatever. Um, but creativity really comes from taking inputs and mixing together those inputs in your mind. And like when I wanted to write a book about testing, one of the first things I did was I ordered like 8 books on testing and like dived into those books. And that was a big thing that like gave me some ideas for what to write about, because the things I read about provoked thoughts for me.
I think another thing to think about is have somewhere to document your ideas when they come up, because 9 times out of 10, you'll forget about them if you don't. And at least then you'll have a seed of a list of things to write about when you get to that point where you want to write about them. So you may be coding, or you may be reading, or something like that, and you always come up with ideas when you're taking other inputs, like Jason said. So having some place to catalog those, that's your go-to place, I think is an important thing.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Question for you, Abe. You mentioned like documenting your journey of learning AWS. What makes you want to learn about AWS?
What makes me want to learn about AWS? Basically, it's nothing really particular. Uh, it's basically the first cloud platform I ever learned about this year. But this was the first year that I came in. I mean, I was able to get my hands on like cloud computing and all that. So I did my first certification this year with AWS. So I just like rolled with that. Didn't really think much about it.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah. The project I wanted to work on is something different. I mean, sure, AWS is something that I am learning right now. The project that I want to build is something different. It's more of it's a little bit generative AI side. So I was thinking something like a bot to basically interact with the subscribers that holds and hold the content of the YouTube channel, right? So basically, the bot is trained on all the transcripts from the YouTube videos of a channel, and just uh, subscribers can interact with that. That's basically what I thought. I'm just wondering if that's a good idea. Or
Interesting. What gave you that idea?
so basically, there's this channel called Kirkazart. I'm not sure if I'm spelling it right.
Mhm.
Uh, so it's basically science channel, science and technology channel.
Mhm.
So they basically like talk about black holes, uh, existentialism, everything,
Mm.
philosophy and space and microbiology and everything. So I was watching one of their videos about identities, and uh, one of those videos had a description that linked to other article that I was interested in. I read that article too. However, some of those videos do not have such articles linked to them.
Mm.
So I was like, okay, so I'll have to search through many articles to find what is relevant in this video. Instead, I can just use a pre-trained model, uh, train it on all the transcripts. If someone wants to say like, hey, what did this guy say in this particular video? What was this topic about? So they can just immediately get the answers instead. So
Interesting.
that was my thought process.
Hmm. Um, this probably isn't what you're asking, but like that's kind of an interesting idea. Um, and it stirs up some thoughts for me. Like sometimes when I go to a YouTube channel and
Right.
there's like hundreds of videos and I don't know what I'm interested in,
Mm.
maybe I'll just kind of like arbitrarily pick one. But I kind of wish that I could like focus on one that I'm interested in. And I don't know if this overlaps with what you were thinking, but like it'd be kind of nice if I could just ask a bot, like, tell me the videos that like involve philosophy or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sure.
Uh-huh.
You can just interact with the bot as if it's just a receptionist or something. Hey, give me what does this what does this creator say about this topic? He gives out the bot gives out it just reads through all the transcriptions, says, hey, these are the points, or just list out the videos that covered this topic. It says, hey, this creator has not covered this topic, or maybe he has covered this topic, and these are the videos. So yeah, so all these are just interactions of basically audience with the creator, but the creator cannot answer everything by himself, right? So I think it would be really helpful. It's just my opinion. Yeah.
How would you get your hands on the transcripts? Does YouTube have like an API for that or something?
I am actually researching that right now, but it seems that it can be done through APIs. But I'm not sure of the technicalities that involves. So I that's what I'm waiting for that moment to for me to feel like, hey, this is worth doing, and let's do it. But yeah, I think I'll read through what are the requirements for all requirements to do this. It actually can be done, I think, with APIs.
Yeah, actually, let me just like search this real quick because I find this interesting.
Right.
Actually, why am I using Google? What is this, like 2021? Does YouTube have an API that I can use to get video transcripts? Interesting. Captions for a video. Okay. And then there's the code for it. Okay, that is really interesting.
Right. So that was I had a couple of other programming ideas, but this was the one that stood out to me. So I was like, maybe I can talk about this with you and
Yeah.
see how you feel about it, right? So
Yeah, I like that idea.
right, right. So that's what I'm thinking, right? What do I do? Like, focus on studying AWS, or like try to build this thing and document how it goes. So yeah, these are the things that I was just confused about. So yeah.
Okay. And do you have an idea of how you might go about building this app?
So I'm not particularly sure how I would build it, but I can roughly understand it that uh, I'll have to use Python to basically get the data. I have to then I have to make clean the data, make it so that I can input that to a language model. Then I have to maybe choose a language model that I want to use, open source or GPT. Uh, then I have to figure out how do I host that once it's fine tuned on that data. I have to also figure out how to fine tune that model. So yeah, like I think I know like basic steps that I need to take. However, I do not really know how the technicalities of these steps go.
Yeah, I might think of like the riskiest parts first. Like, what do you think some risks of this project might be?
Uh,
I'll put it a different way. Like, what do you think are the most mysterious to you parts of the project?
I've not never fine tuned language models.
Mhm.
One, I've never worked with YouTube API and YouTube data. too, and I'm not sure what kind of what is the structure of data that is needed to, how do I restructure the data so that I can get the most out of it. That's
Mm-hmm.
2 or 3 things that I already thought about. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. One thing I'm thinking about is like, okay, so sometimes with these projects with like these multiple mysterious parts, you can like simplify the project by like removing a layer. So like in the beginning, you could, for example, like forget about AI and you could just have like a YouTube search engine without AI. But it's like, whereas YouTube, my understanding is YouTube or my assumption is YouTube basically searches the video titles. Um, your search could search the actual content, the transcript of the video. You
Right.
don't need AI for that.
I'm actually not planning to do this for the planning to do this for all the videos. I'm just trying to do this for one channel right now, like just one
Yeah.
channel, and focus on trying to focusing on fine tuning it. Fine
Yeah,
tuning.
I get that part. Yeah.
So maybe I'll just maybe the first thing that I'll do is just learn how to use the YouTube API and get the data.
Yeah. Like, well, what I was getting at is this, like, imagine if there's a channel with 100 videos.
Right.
You're going to have the transcripts for all 100 videos in order to search all 100 videos. So
Right.
you'll have to have some mechanism that like hits all 100 of those and like caches the transcripts in a database or something like that so you can search it.
Right. Right. And so let me just write these things down.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you do one simple thing that everybody seems to skip over is whatever is the hardest and you know the least, do that first.
Yes.
Do
Right.
the scary bit first.
Right. So that would, right. So what if all the bits are scary?
What's that, Ape?
I'm just kidding. I'm just saying, what if all the bits are scary?
Oh, yeah.
I think a lot of times that feeling comes from just not having a firm grasp on what all the bits are. And so
Right.
maybe your first step is just to kind of lay out what you think the bits are. And then maybe a ranking would be obvious once you take a look at that list.
Yeah, I
Right.
think that's great advice.
Right. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Another thing I often say is like it's way better to be 100% done with 10% of your work than it
Mhm.
is to be 10% done
With
with
100.
100% of the things.
Right.
Yeah, so like I would definitely like advise you to maintain a 100% working program at all times, or at least as close as you can get to that. Maybe I'm preaching to the choir, but like a lot of projects I see developers will like do a little bit of work in this area, little work in this area, but like nothing is actually completely done. And it
Right.
just gets really like confusing to manage a project like that.
And demoralizing.
Mm-hmm.
I do
Right.
that
Yeah.
all the time with personal stuff. I don't know why.
I think one problem that I would want to discuss, Jason, that you just mentioned, is the get something completely done aspect. Maybe you just get it to the point of running. Like maybe it's not full featured. You know, you don't want to spend so much time doing one thing. You want to do a narrow feature, not a big feature that like touches everything. I don't know if I'm explaining it so well. Maybe you understand, Jason, what I'm
Yeah.
getting at here.
Yeah, I
It's
get
very
it. Like
good.
I make a distinction between complete and finished. Like something can be complete without being finished.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
what I mean. And so I think uh uh the reason why Jason has these words on the tip of his tongue is I'm sure there's a huge overlap here with testing and
Mm.
making sure that you have like automated tests that always work and you're constantly building on that.
Yes.
I gotta
Easy
run.
for us to say, probably.
I'm gonna
Um,
run, but I gotta
Yeah,
tell
the
yeah,
one
good
Roger.
thing.
point.
I just wanted to add on to what they're both saying is that I think before you start doing the X feature, write out what the MVP for that is and do yourself a huge favor. Don't do more than that.
Yeah.
Right.
Before you move
Just
to, because
right.
I'm sure all of us have done this. Or at least I should say, I hope so, because I don't want to be alone in this level of silliness. And that is I start a project and I'm like, oh, I can see myself from A to B. And I'm like, these are the things that I need to get done. And then I get in, and then I'm like, yeah, but I should do this thing, and then this thing. And then literally, like in authorization, I have made zero progress. You should see how many projects only have authentication and authorization on my hard drive. It's embarrassing.
Wait, at first, Roger, I thought you were talking about like you're in there and you're like, well, since I'm here, I might as well do such and such. But that's
That's the
it.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
like you're like, oh, all I need is like email and password, and just move on to the next thing, right? Like I don't need to like do some things, right? But inevitably, and I'm just using it mostly as a prop. I don't literally have that. I was just using it for dramatization. But like, like you have a feature, you think, oh, all I need to do is like put an email input. And then you're like, yeah, but some people have a business email or they'll do this. And the next thing you know, you're spending like a whole weekend doing a small piece of the product, but you could have had this huge tailwind come Monday. Like, bro, I did a sign in, I did this first feature, I started on the second feature. You had lots of energy that would have literally kept you going. And instead, you like just killed yourself and all the positive energy on like
Mhm.
something that just continued to blossom.
Yeah. Stephen Baker calls that getting a case of the might as wells.
Mm-hmm.
And those will kill you.
Gentlemen, it's
Um,
been a pleasure. I'm so sorry. I got to run in late and then run away or quickly.
oh, well, glad you popped in when you could.
Thank
I
you, Rod.
missed this, so I just had to do it. I'll catch you
Yeah.
guys.
All right. See you
Cheers.
later.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Yeah. Yeah. And Roger's idea of like writing down the MVP, I think is a really good idea. I think a lot of devs would benefit from writing down what they intend to do before they do it.
Right.
Because writing down what you intend to do forces you to actually decide what you intend to do.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Right. That's interesting. So I think, yeah, I would still, I mean, this is, I think this is what I would spend a lot of time on. I would still learn AWS because I still need to host it somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I think I would still learn AWS on side and write blog articles or LinkedIn posts about it, but also uh, uh, do this bit, do the project part as well, uh,
Mm-hmm.
so that it just adds on. I think this brings like experience and the users, right? This brings
Mm-hmm.
experience and the users, and it's something interesting to talk about.
Yeah.
Uh,
So do you want to be a DevOps
so
guy, or are you more interested in being a developer guy? Because
the prop like this is my first year of software engineering. I have no idea where do I want to be. So I'm
yeah,
just trying out stuff.
so
Yeah,
you're
I'm just trying.
so I fight not to be a DevOps guy, and it seems to be
Mm,
kind of an easy battle where I'm at. But what I've done is I removed all the worst things that I don't like about coding, and it's DevOps and AWS. And you keep mentioning AWS, but I think you're picking one of the biggest Goliaths to learn versus like DigitalOcean, which you're literally deploying to DigitalOcean and it's done. There's not a big learning curve, and you can focus 95% of your effort on writing your code. Nothing against
Mhm.
AWS, and I know that's a big name. You know, you hear everybody, oh, Amazon this, Amazon that, but there is so many other avenues to go with delivering. I mean, you've got Heroku, you've got DigitalOcean, you've got oh, what's the other ones they were talking about? Oh, DHH is big on
GCP.
it.
Yeah, I'm a bit out of touch with those, but that might be really good advice. I used AWS for years, and then I tried out DigitalOcean and I found it to be way easier. And so if you want to learn AWS to be able to, if you want to learn it, then like obviously that's a valid reason. But if you just want to have a place to host your application, then I might suggest checking out some of these other options.
Right, right. That's true. Uh, yeah. I'll take that down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. Well, this seems like a compelling project. And Abe, if you ever want to come back, and obviously, like whatever you want to talk about, you're welcome to do as many of these mentorship sessions as you want. But if you want to come back and like talk about how to architect this or even like pair program on it, I would love to do that. And I think other people would really enjoy watching that.
Sure. Sounds great. Let me just think about all the components and how to arrange this stuff, so that it works with my schedule and your schedule and everything else,
Yeah.
and we can. Sure, let's do it. I'm really
Yeah.
interested building this project.
Yeah, and I'd be really interested about the database schema and that stuff because that's obviously a really important part. Yeah,
Right.
it seems like a really meaty project that'll force you to do
Mm.
a lot of things that are like useful things to be able to say that you've done. And if you show them to a prospective employer, they'll be like, "Wow, this is impressive."
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right. Well, that might be a good place to leave it for today. Again, Abe, you're very welcome to grab another time slot whenever it works for you. And thanks everybody for joining me, and I'll see you guys next time.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.